a relevant metric for the number of law-abiding Americans who were swept up in the FISA 702 searches. This morning, you went back on that promise, and you said that even putting together a sampling, a statistical estimate, would jeopardize national security. I think that is a very, very damaging position to stake out. We're going to battle it out in the course of this, because there are a lot of Americans who share our view that security and liberty are not mutually exclusive. We can have both. You rejected that this morning. You went back on a pledge, and I think it is damaging to the public. Now let me...
Senator, could I answer the question?
Mr. Director, my time is short, and I want to ask you about one other 702.
Well, I would like to answer your question.
Briefly.
What I pledged to you in my confirmation hearing is that I would make every effort to try to find out.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Why we were not able to come to a specific number of collection on U.S. persons. I told you I would consult with Admiral Rogers. I told you I would go to the National Security Agency to try to determine whether or not I was able to do that. I went out there, I talked to them, they went through the technical details. There were extensive efforts on the part of, I learned, on the parts of NSA to try to...
Do or do not. There is no try.
Come to get you an appropriate answer. We were not able to do that.
Respectfully, that's not what you said.
And your ass ain't talking your way out of it.
You said, and I quote, "We are working to produce a relevant metric." Now let me go to my other question.
But we were not able to do it, to achieve it. So working to do it is different than doing it.
There is no try.
You told the American people that even a statistical sample would be jeopardizing America's national security. That is inaccurate, and I think detrimental to the cause of ensuring we have both security and liberty. Now here's my other question. We are trying to sort out
Can the
who
witness
the
respond?
target...
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration? I didn't mean to. What's the matter? Oh, you were finished. Well, allow me to retort.
Who are the targets?
Certainly not.
Who are the targets of a 702 investigation? Director Comey gave 3 different answers in a hearing a month ago. And I think it would be very helpful if you would tell us who, in fact, is a target of these investigations. I want to go after serious foreign threats, but we don't know as of now, with Director Comey having given 3 different answers, who the targets are. Mr. Director.
Well, I can't speak for former Director Clapper. Targets, as I understand, are non-U.S. persons, foreign individuals are the targets. In terms, 702 is directed and prohibited from directing targets on U.S. persons.
What country you from? What ain't no country I ever heard of? They speak English and what?
My time is up. I will tell you, Director Comey gave 3 answers. He finally said I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I think it's confined to counterterrorism, to espionage, and finally he said he didn't think a diplomat could be targeted. So we need you all, in addition to protecting the liberties of the American people, to tell us who the targets are. Thank
Well,
you, Chairman.
I would like to respond to that by saying some of those targets are classified, highly
I
classified.
understand that.
Some of those targets, by revealing those names of those targets, release the methods that we use, and then is turned against us, and could cost the lives or put some of our agents in.
English, motherfucker! Do you speak it? Yes. Then you know what I'm saying.
Mr. Comey listed a number of targets, which is why there's confusion. He said that on the record. We need you to tell us on the record as well.
This has many names.
It's gang stalking, mob stalking, community stalking. You're in the middle of this ridiculous, irrational impossibility that is real and is happening.
First, The Guardian revealed the National Security Agency is collecting telephone records of millions of Verizon customers.
And surveil someone through their phones, through their, certainly through their television sets.
For the last year and a half, he's been systematically followed by a group of people.
Does the FBI use drones for surveillance on U.S. soil? Yes.
New Associated Press investigation shows that the Bureau has its own little Air Force with scores of planes flying over American cities, recording video and tracking cell phone conversations.
He has a man outside of his house in a hood, like basically like a hood that looks, and we can.
Well, this almost sounds like gang stalking or something. Have you heard of that?
Many of the things that victims of gang stalking describe are also symptoms of mental disorders.
We're not having a group hallucination. This is actually something that's happening.
Targeted individuals or individuals who are being singled out by society, by the government, by family, by friends, all because these individuals are identified as true disciples of God, true believers, true practitioners, or at least wholeheartedly endeavoring to be a practitioner of God's gospel. And these individuals have, given testimony regarding what they've had to endure from court systems, jobs, family members, basically in the form of people trying to abuse them, misusing them, walking away from them, walking out of their lives, taking things from them, lying on them, putting false witness out against them, trying to characterize them as something and somebody that they are not. Hey, I already know about that myself. And these individuals have talked about basically forming a support group of us. Well,
It's Jody. I'm just going to be talking about a strange, weird occurrence that happened to me today. It was eerie, like an eerie experience to say the least. It was as though it was preordained, right? It was as though it was preordained, right? And see, this is what they do when they attack you with these EMFs.
A warning this afternoon. When the American people find out how their government has secretly interpreted the Patriot Act, they are going to be stunned and they are going to be angry. Find out how their government has secretly interpreted the Patriot Act, they are going to be stunned and they are going to be angry.
The Patriot Act, known as Section 215, a section that vastly expanded the government's power to spy on ordinary people, referring to it as Sensitive Collection Program. And now, more than 2 years after a FOIA request and a subsequent lawsuit from the American Civil Liberties Union and the Electronic Frontier Foundation, we finally have answers. Just yesterday, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence released approximately 1,800 pages of documents that shed light on the constitutionality of the NSA's domestic surveillance program. So we now know more details on a program that started back in 2001 that allowed for the government to collect our phone records in bulk. That's right. Under this program, the NSA received daily transfers of all customer records from the nation's phone companies. Those records included incoming and outgoing calls, along with the call's duration. But more specifically, the documents reveal that the NSA had been running an automated alert list on the selected phone numbers. The spy agency kept a list of about 18,000 suspicious phone numbers. But senior intelligence officials now say that of the phone numbers on the alert list, more than 15,000 of them, or 88%, were wrongly included. And according to the documents, NSA officials didn't even understand that this activity was a violation of their own internal regulations.
August 6, 2017. So it's still buzzing away here. It sounds a tad bit quieter than it was this morning, but it's still pretty loud. But I wanted to go over here and show you more about the power surging and complaints from people. And I found one of them's on the Ripoff report, and then there's another one that is on, let's see here, it's on.
Dr. Terry Robertson was seeing a lot of patients with the same problem, and the diagnosis led to me. What can I do for you?
Well, I've been collaborating with some other physicians and some former DoD scientists that have been looking at citizen complaints that they may be being subjected to what's known as psychotronic weapons and biocommunication technologies. The complaints seem to be increasing. I've specifically been working with one self-reported group of over 1,000 what are called targeted individuals.
Targeted individual?
This is a moniker that these people have put upon themselves. They believe that they are specifically targeted.
Targeted individuals. They're the ones who say they're being harassed and tortured by voices in their heads. The ones who are mocked as people in tinfoil hats. These aren't just crazy people. These are regular citizens who feel they're being targeted.
This is a highly educated group. Over 50% of them have a college degree. Over 12% have postgraduate degrees. Highly educated people.
How could they do this to thousands of people at one time?
Well, Governor, that's why I came to you, is to help find those people that could answer that.
Dr. Robert Duncan. First question for you. What's negative about what you've done?
I've empowered the dark side by some of my work.
And what do you mean by that?
Technology is neutral. It can be used for good or evil. I've worked on projects for the CIA, Justice Department, and Department of Defense.
Is this the stuff, voices in the head and things like that?
Yes.
We've run into a few people that claim they got voices in their heads, they sleep inside tinfoil boxes, they do a lot of crazy things, it seems. But when they talk to us, they seem totally normal. They seem totally sane. Are these people crazy, or is the government doing this to them?
The government's doing this to them.
It's Orange County for the actions of William Crittenden. Not only has he been involved with Jason Ferris of Laguna Beach, who will be a co-defendant, trying to break into my home in Laguna Beach, which I have an audio recording of it. You can hear the whole thing. But then he goes to my mom's house with Huntington Beach with Jason Ferris and with two Huntington Beach police officers that the police chief of Huntington Beach ordered, and tells my mom I'm crazy, and I have evidence I'm not, so we're going to be in litigation with this. We'll adjudicate this out. And thank goodness for the Huntington Beach police officers, the rank and file, as you might or might not know, voted 92% to out the police chief, and now the captains, lieutenants, just last week, overwhelmingly voted to take him out, get him out of office. Robert Handy, the police chief there, who I have already sued. We're in litigation right now. We already got past the demur last month. So now we're going to jury trial. But anyway, I have to laugh, because everyone knows what's going on, and it's personal, and you're supposed to be professionals. And I don't know, the extent of what's going on, but there are thousands of women that are involved in this. And I just last month we had a big meeting, and I've been getting involved with other groups across the United States, and we're organizing right now, and they're not all crazy. This is real. This is the civil rights of our time. Martin Luther King was civil rights, and then they had the founding fathers, 200 some years ago. This is the inside of our bodies. This is the inside of our bodies that are being violated. This is way more serious than what the British ever did. Anyway, just so you know, I look at it as a conspiracy. If a woman was tied down to a bed and raped by 5 men over the weekend, from Friday to Monday, each man might look at it as one offense, one crime, but the victim looks at it as the whole thing as one crime. So she was tied down for the whole weekend. It's one crime to her. It's also 5 crimes, but it's one crime to her. So just so you know, I look at this whole thing as one big conspiracy. It's a bunch of little conspiracies within it, but it's one big conspiracy. So when you do one little thing, I look at it as part of the overall crime, and so that's why I have the 10 years of crimes I will hold everyone accountable for.
Kind of my last words. It's really unfortunate that I have to make this video. See, I am a victim of covert harassment and electronic harassment and gang stalking. I'm what's called a targeted individual.
Sister, I wanted to read something to you guys here that I found quite interesting. I did some research and looked into I'll put a link in the description, but a sister of mine, sister that I found online, Sister Paula, her website is Wakefulness Theology, said that you should look into what time you were born, and that if you go on Stronghold's Concordance Bible, enter it in, it should kind of lead you into the right direction of what role you would be playing as as being targeted, what your role in the kingdom could possibly be.
This video. My name is Yvonne Chamba. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I am a believer in Jesus Christ, a daughter redeemed by the precious blood of the Lamb. I am also what is called a targeted individual.
Boy, new breed, coming through with another video, and welcome to another midday motivational talk. Today we have a really important message. But before I dive into that message, shout out Rima Word Clothing, the clothing that ministers. As you can see, I'm rocking the I Am Lion hat, and this joint is flame. And if you're interested in this cap, along with a variety of others, make sure you have a very important message that I would like to put across. You know what, ladies and gentlemen? When it comes to being empowered people, when it comes to being people who have been isolated from society, targeted, mobbed, stalked, harassed, when it comes to being those type of people who are set apart based on cultural differences, based on the fact that they have empathy in a world where the love of many has waxed cold.
I am tormented and physically abused every day. My abusers are trying to force me to commit suicide. My abusers are trying.
I wouldn't mind if he's just going to watch me or something, but the tracking on and the harassment, it's a little much, I'm a disabled veteran, and, I thought I live in America, not a society that will attack its own citizens. If I've committed some crime, let me know. I'm not a felon, and what they're doing here, this experiments, I guess it's called, it's wrong, and I'm really against.
Started around 3 years ago with harassment, and like a whole year later I found out it was the government. It took me a whole year of looking. I finally found a book that talked about government hypnotism, and it was in that book, luckily, and I found that, and I went online and I found all these other websites that talk about election.
Come to visit. I was targeted.
Phoenix Mayor Phil Gordon has found himself in the sheriff's crosshairs on a number of occasions.
All these so-called allegations, all the FBI investigations boils down to one guy, and that's the mayor of Phoenix.
In April of last year, Gordon wrote a letter to the Justice Department asking the agency to look into complaints of racial profiling against the sheriff's office. 20 days later, Sheriff's deputies demanded all of the mayor's emails, phone call logs, and appointment calendars. The mayor says it was intimidation.
Do you think that was in retaliation for the letter that you wrote to the Justice Department?
Definitely was. It was multiple inquiries and investigations.
Later, an unmarked truck with lights flashing pulled someone over in front of my home. I went out and the truck had Tennessee tags. The LMPD and professional standards denied that it was an LMPD truck because it had Tennessee tags. When I told them I got the license number and I took pictures, I was then told it was a flex vehicle for the 2nd Division. But they did not know who was driving it. The LMPD have tried to make me look like a mental patient to cover up the crimes. A neighbor tried to report 4 of their officers banging on my door to professional standards. My neighbor stated, Connie, I tried to tell her about the police banging on your door. She did not want to hear that. She asked me if you had mental problems. A friend and I were getting in my car, and she was taken aside, and the officer asked her if I was all right up there, as he pointed to his head. The same officer later told my friend and I that I was redlined. This is a discriminatory term. My daughter stated, Mom, remember when we had those differences about the children? A police officer stated, your mom is very intelligent, but you should take a mental inquest warrant out on her. For all these reasons and more, I will be protesting in front of the Louisville Metro Police Department at 633 West Jefferson Street every Monday from 11:30 a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. And we were just there this past Monday and got thumbs up from professionals and average citizens.
Because I have no problem with hospital. No, because you guys want me to be the scapegoat. Because I'm not criminal or anything at all. And probably, yeah, I am the victim here of vandalism. Yeah, you got a friend too here, and what did you say this computer? What am I talking about? Yeah. She's crazy. You're crazy, and actually, you know, this is pretty nice to see. That one bottle guy just appeared while I was checking about the Barry Barrows comments on my film about.